Welcome to the Diplomats. You can find us at thediplomats.net. I'm Go Horns Go, and I'm joined here by Umble the Heat to talk about the fall 1902 moves of the Season 5 Nexus Finals. And yes, we will have two broadcasts about the fall 1902 season, one from Superstition on Audacious Hand. But Umble wanted to come on here, and we're glad he did, to give his take on the fall 1902 and predictions for 1903. We are sponsored, as always, by diplomacybriefing.com. Umble, tell us about the briefing before we start into the fall of '02.
Yes, the Diplomacy Briefing is a weekly email that talks about everything that's coming up in diplomacy. It highlights the tournaments. There's always a strategy article, and it's really important to be subscribed to this because a lot of times new tournaments will come up on the scene, and there's only like a few weeks, and sometimes even 1 week to do a sign-up period. So you want to be a part of this so that you know exactly everything that's happening and you're staying up to date because things come up and sometimes they're short-lived. And the briefing is the only place that looks over everything that's going on in diplomacy, online and face-to-face, and gives you exactly what you need to know. And there's always a strategy article, and it's pretty much always original content. You're not going to get it anywhere else, and it's all free. So if you love diplomacy and you're not subscribed to it, I mean, I'll
Then
tell
you
you this.
don't love diplomacy.
Well, I'll tell you this, the people that you're playing, many of them are subscribed. So you don't want to be the one left behind. So join. We've got closing on 700 subscribers and followers. Again, it's free. It's just something we do to give back to the diplomacy community. And we're rounding out issue 60. So still going strong.
And one of the diplomats, Lady Razor, I believe, is a contributing or associate editor for the briefing.
Yes, yes. And their month actually is going to be coming up in December. And he's actually already I asked him to do a drawing for a Thanksgiving diplomacy drawing. So you'll definitely want to get the Thanksgiving issue that's coming up in a few weeks.
Well,
Because
I've asked him to produce some drawings for us, and so far, nothing. So, Lady Razor, I'm calling you out.
well, you got to say it's all about how you treat people. So
That's right. I'm well known as a taskmaster. Okay. Talking about a task that a couple of countries had to master, which would be England and Germany attacking France, I'm going to say they failed in their task.
yeah, well, and their failure really started in spring. Um, as somebody who loves to play England and has had a fair amount of success with it, um, the England did not make the right move in the spring by putting Liverpool to the Irish Sea. They needed to put it to the North Atlantic
Why?
um, because you need to get three fleets all centered there. You need one in North Atlantic, you need one in the Irish Sea, you need one in the English Channel. And so if you put it into the North Atlantic, then you can support the English Channel over and then eventually the North Sea down. Now, obviously, the concern there is, well, what if he sneaks in there? And I get that. That's definitely a valid concern. There's other ways you can go about it. You could go back to Wales, but generally, I would say that's a pretty wise thing to want to do. Um, now, and the other thing too is if you get a fleet that's back behind you in the North Atlantic, that's even a greater problem for you than if it's in the Irish Sea. So my personal opinion is I think that probably would have been the better way to go. And the other thing too is with the English Channel, you could have gone to Mid-Atlantic, right? You could have gone up to North Atlantic, English Channel to Mid-Atlantic, and North Sea down to English Channel. So even if he gets into Liverpool, you're okay because you would much rather you'll make that swap, right? Every single time.
Right.
You'll let him go to the Irish Sea and put something in the Mid-Atlantic. So I think that was a mistake. Obviously, there's a slight possibility he goes to the I have to look back at 1902, but as I recall, he came out, right? So he would have been fine. You could have made all those moves and been just fine. So it was what he was supposed to do in the fall was support English Channel to Irish Sea if he was already in the North Atlantic, and then move North Sea down. And what he's trying to do is he's just getting impatient. So I would encourage you. You can, if someone's really wanting to see a quick takedown of France, you can go to the Boston Massacre virtual game that I was in, that I topped the board, and we did an EG and got Italy in on a little bit of it, and we took France out in like, I think, 4 years, and that was by a person that wins tournaments. So we took him out.
Here was the yeah, that was John Anderson that you took out, I believe.
Right.
And you went with our Nexus's own Max Fax's Germany. Here is what England did in spring 1902, if you can see it on the screen.
Yeah. Liverpool to North Atlantic, and then what you do is you support English Channel over to the Irish Sea, and you move north down into the English Channel is what you do. Now, there's other ways you could do it. You could, I mean, there's other ways to go about that attack, but that's the cleanest way, because what you're going to do is you're just going to keep forcing, forcing them to go back. And are there some ways that maybe, hey, they can squirt across? Yeah, but again, you're going to be the one that ultimately wins on this. He's going to fall. If he gets that fleet away, it's just a matter of, once you get into the mid-Atlantic, it doesn't matter where his fleet is. He's going to be falling quick. So this is, obviously, they decided that they weren't going to try to get the jump on France. They were just going to go all out. So, France knows what's happening, and his whole goal here is to slow things down. And so if that's the case, you just got to be methodical. And this way is not methodical, in my opinion. You're creating more problems. And so in this particular case, I think how England tried to get it was wrong too. You should have supported English Channel to Mid-Atlantic, in my opinion. But again, and tried to do North Sea to English Channel, especially if Denmark's going out, it's okay. Vacate the North Sea. If you're not going to have a fleet bordering that, you're okay. So I think, obviously what he was hoping, right, was that Mid-Atlantic would support against the English Channel, and then he would be able to get in. But again, here's the issue, right? By doing that, he would retreat to the North Atlantic, and you don't have any fleet back there, right?
So this is a precise issue raised by our diplomatic contributors on the other 1902 podcast. They were anti-attacking Mid-Atlantic because of the retreat, but they were adamant that England and Germany should have sandboxed a little bit more and convoyed Holland to Picardy with Belgian support.
Yeah, that would have been a much better decision. In regards to how they did it. Now, again, I think if you're going to go with that fleet taking the Mid-Atlantic, you should have supported English Channel to Mid-Atlantic, because anything else is ridiculous. But and the whole idea too, like, you had to have known English Channel support was going to get cut. So basically, what you're doing is you were wasting the move, because yeah, he didn't even support Irish Sea to the Mid-Atlantic, which obviously he doesn't want to get it behind, but you had to know it was going to get cut. So this was a bad move, like, across the board. You should have done English Channel to Mid-Atlantic, supported from the Irish Sea, and they need to get their act together, because
but perfect moves by France, but predictable.
Yes, yeah. It was defensive, slowing things down, which is good for France, and it's what you would expect. But yeah, this was not wise. I don't know who's in the driver's seat with making these moves. My guess would be Germany, if you want my opinion. And here's what England's got to be careful of. Germany's going to want to continue to grow to try to keep pace with Austria or do some things along those lines. And he's got to be careful that France doesn't say, hey, you know what, let me support you into Belgium, and let's get rid of this English pest. So whatever it was, this is not a great attack on France. It's not coordinated well, and France is taking advantage of that.
So the Germans, are going to get a build, based on Denmark to Sweden. There really could be some sort of pitch by France, just like you say, like, hey, you're you have some vulnerability in Russia now.
I don't
England's
I don't
weak.
get that.
You don't think Russia's vulnerable at all?
No. I don't get England's decisions here. This is just poor play from England. Again, you can go back and actually look at all my English games, and England should. There's no reason that England should not be able to get Sweden in this moment from both Russia and Germany. You know, the pitch is not that difficult if you're England. The pitch is simply this. Look, and again, a lot of this starts back in spring 1902, which I think spring 1902, Russia moved the army up, right?
Correct.
Okay. The pitch is this. So those that play England, here's what you do when you're in this moment.
No, 1902, the army was already there. I think that's where the build was in St. Petersburg.
Well, you can talk during the build. So again, this is another mistake by England because this is not a hard sell, and I get it every single time I've played England in the last three virtual ones we have. It's a straightforward one. You tell. First of all, Germany should be supporting you there anyway because he's going to be backfilling into Belgium at some point. Two, Russia has reason to get you into Sweden anyway because he wants to get an ally, and you can just tell him, say, look, if I have a fleet that's not in Norway, what that means is you don't have to worry about St. Petersburg, and then you and I can do some things in the future. But we'll just sit back and we'll focus in the south. So Russia should want to do that because Russia is not going to get Sweden. So by making this deal with England, it's good for him. So the fact that England's supporting Germany,
England can pitch that, hey, if you want me to build in Liverpool or you want to stop this whole, if I'll commit further west.
Right. So I don't know exactly what Germany said to England, but to me, this shows that Germany is in the driver's seat of this particular alliance. I don't know why he's getting Sweden because he's going to be the one that eventually gets Belgium. He's creating some real problems here. But England should have been able to get that, and he should have been able to honestly be supported by both. I don't think asking if I was England, I wouldn't want Germany actually building that second fleet at all. In fact, what I would have said, if you want me to build two fleets, then you need to build two armies because he's giving Germany too much play in the north and not giving him the dominance of the seas. So England is it's just not making the most ideal deals right now with his partner Germany.
Okay, so let's go to the north of Russia. I mean, they're sort of limited in what they can do. They could have helped England. Gulf of Bothnia could have supported Norway to Sweden, but if England wasn't going to go to Sweden, I'm not sure what else Village Idiot could have done in this situation.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that he should have probably thrown an army Germany's way back in spring 1902, rather than just sit it there. It was obvious what was about to happen, and definitely in the fall. I don't know why, but he should have. My opinion, after he got bounced, he should have thrown an army there. He now has diplomatic reasons to do it. If I was Russia, what I would have done is I would have spring 1903 thrown an army. I would have made a deal with even if I built the army in St. Petersburg, I would have made a deal with England to support Sweden, to support the fleet to Sweden, and then support him so that he has it. That you need to break that up, and you need to put pressure on Germany for a few reasons. A, to give England, to bait England into maybe working with you against Germany, but also to give, you don't want the West resolving. And so it's pretty obvious they're not working as well together against France, but you still want to give France a little bit of breathing room. So, and you have a reason to do it. Say, look, man, you bounced me, so I'm not wanting to be your long-term ally, but you have to expect me to put a little pressure on you because you're doing it to me. So I would have done that. I don't think sitting back in this moment was the right play to make. I think because Russia's really losing options on what to do. So a lot of things happen this turn that Russia can't like. A lot of things. And that's not, in a lot of ways, diplomatically, Russia did not have anything work out for them that he would have wanted this turn in the South or in the West.
Okay.
There's a lot of diplomatic failures. regardless of.
Let's talk about the South, and then we'll talk about the Southeast. What do you make? I mean, clearly it's an Austrian stab here against Italy, just as Italy moves Tyrrhenian Sea to Lyon.
Yeah.
My question to you is this, which I asked the other contributing diplomats. Venice moved back to Trieste. Do you think that was supposed to be an arranged bounce that Austria decided to take with support? Or do you think that Italy got wind of something and wasn't quite sure and still moved Tyrrhenian Sea to Lyon?
Yeah, it's hard to say either way. I think I 100% believe Italy should not have moved that army out in the spring of 1902. I think that was a real mistake there. And I know the thinking behind it, hey, I need to get it over
there. Was gang up on France and get dots easier while he's locked up against EG.
Yeah. I get it. I understand why he's thinking about doing it, but there's other options on how to do some stuff. You know, you could have even moved. There's some different ways that you could have moved that, but I think it was probably wise in this instance to slow play this that year, because now I personally, I know we're going to talk about this. I'm not convinced that this is the best play for Austria to do well. And I think he's making this play a year too soon. But with that, because he could have, in all honesty, he could have made this stab next year as far as taking Trieste. And I think it would have been more beneficial to him. But with that being said, as far as why he moved to Trieste, it's hard to say. It may have been a bounce. It may not have. I mean, I suppose Austria could have done that. But if I was Austria, you would want that army to be in Piedmont. So it's hard to say, you know, if that was agreed there to do a bounce or if Italy just got cold feet. But that to me is poor play. You know, Austria did not take Romania, which he could have if he wanted to go all in on this, which probably, to tell you the truth, it probably, if you want my opinion, if he was going to stab somebody, he should have stabbed Russia in this moment.
Why is that?
For a few reasons. First off, stabbing Italy means that Turkey will now be here for a while. You cannot take out Turkey without Italy's help in this situation, because Sevastopol cannot get the Black Sea. And it's going to take a long time for anything to happen, because as soon as that fleet moves down to Armenia and Turkey's fleet gets into the Black Sea, now Russia's facing issues. You can do it, but Russia's going to have to concentrate everything in the south and just do overkill. And the problem here with Turkey is Turkey's not going to want anything more than Bulgaria. Like, Bulgaria's going to be what he wants. And you're creating some really, really bad problems for yourself. So I would say if you're going to make that stab on Italy, you need to make that stab in when Turkey's down to 2 centers, or preferably 1. You make the
stab, have complete dominance, because he could have had Bulgaria and Khan.
Yeah. You make the stab when Italy is going to gain a center, and so you keep that from happening. And so he stays the same, though Turkey goes down 1, because it is really next to impossible, if you have a good Turkish player, for him to just collapse without Italian help. And so unless they let Russia into the Black Sea, which is not happening, it's you make it so difficult. And now I think you could make that stab on Italy if Russia was in the Black Sea. That would be fine. But in this moment, you could have just bounced with Italy and taken Romania, right? And that would have been a much, you got Russia, who's weak in the north, right?
Right.
You've got Turkey
would still be happy.
Right, yeah, because you would have had at that moment, you would have had a Italian army in Syria. You would have got your two builds that you wanted. You would have had a good.
Warsaw's dead in 03.
Yeah, yeah. This to me was the wrong decision to make. It was and on top of that, you had built up, I think, some goodwill with Italy. This was to me a very, very bad play. If you were going to make a move, which I think you could have, it was Russia that is the most wide open here. He's not. He would be back at 4. Pressure from Germany. You got units to go and get it. To me, I give Austria's play here an F, even though a lot of people look at it and be like, "Oh man, that's the greatest thing." The problem is you're going to have nobody. You have nobody that's going to want to work with you now, because even
and
though
you have
yeah,
7 game years left.
yeah, and Russia's not. Yeah, Russia can't be happy with this because Russia wants to get units on Turkey, and now what's he going to do? Nothing. And Austria's got all these armies to use in whatever way he wants. It's not necessarily that this won't work out for Austria because it depends how. Yeah, it could if people don't mobilize against him. But Turkey's not going to be your long-term ally here. If you want a Janissary, you need Turkey to be at like 1 or 2 maybe, but not at 3. At 3 he's still got visions of grandeur and how he's going to come back. So I would not be shocked. Let me see how everything's set up.
Well, hold on. Before you get into that, we got to talk about Turkey just a bit. Do you agree that, and I put spring 1902 back, the disband of Bulgaria by Turkey was genius?
Well, they admitted that it wasn't on purpose. So.
Well, he said that. He said he overslept, but do you really believe that? I don't believe it for a second.
You don't believe it? I don't know what would be the reason for disbanding it.
To induce Austria to say, look, you got a couple options. You can take Khan if you want, no problem whatsoever. And Russia won't get anything. I thought it was his announcement that I may be dead, but Village Idiot isn't taking anything.
I don't know. Maybe. If that's what he did, then that's interesting. But the real victory that Turkey has here is that Austria got greedy. And sometimes you can get people to make moves that are not optimal for you, if sometimes by either greed or sometimes people just like the cool move, right? Hey man, I'm going and I'm taking Ionian. That's a great, how often do you see an Austrian, get into Ionian? And so they've like, well, that's going to be unique. That's going to be cool. And so he whatever it was, Conk did exactly what he needed to do, which was to get to break up Austria and Italy. He had to have that happen if he was going to live.
Do you think Austria's moves are a function of him being a well-known or at least an accomplished gunboat player, whereas this move may have been perfectly timed in gunboat, but in press diplomacy a year too soon?
Yeah, I can't really speak to that. It's definitely a win for Conk. That is definitely a win for Conk because now he can talk with everybody. Everybody wants to talk with him. Austria has to have him on his side. Russia's going to be wanting to talk with him. I am forecasting that I believe we're going to see spring moves where they are. I would not be surprised.
Well, here, let me put the just before we talk about the spring moves.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the builds and disbands. What should Italy have disbanded? Or where should Italy have retreated in your mind from the Ionian?
He has to go to the Tyrrhenian Sea if he wants to convoy that army out from Tunis. Of course, there is the whole point that, it's a really bad position. Now, you could go up to the Adriatic and put a little more pressure. Apulia is another option.
But you can't defend Naples.
Right. My guess is you probably got to go to the Tyrrhenian Sea so then you can convoy Tunis up to Tuscany and move Gulf of Leon down to Western Mediterranean, so that you can take Tunis
If that's
back.
what he does, then what must he disband?
Well, then the Eastern, you have to get rid of that.
All right. And then there was quite a bit of debate among the other diplomats as to where Germany should build.
Oh, between Kiel or Berlin.
Correct.
Well, if you build it in Kiel, the nice thing is that is you can still convoy with Baltic, so you can do some misdirection. So you can still convoy with Baltic, or you can move it down into Ruhr if you feel like that's needed. I would do Kiel for that reason, because you can still do the convoy to Prussia if needed, or to Livonia. And you can
I
still
would say that our consensus was Berlin, thinking that Germany would just prefer England not to make any progress against France, and now to try and take some centers against Russia while Austria is tied up.
But the problem with that is if you build Kiel, if you build Berlin, Russia knows you're going against them. But if you build Kiel, you can do like a convoy to Prussia and a Munich to Silesia move. You can convoy right to there, or you can convoy to Livonia and go to Silesia. Doing Berlin, you tip your hand to Russia what you're going to do. So I do not agree with that at all. I think.
All right. So let's see what they did.
Yeah.
Italy does go to the Tyrrhenian Sea, disbands east, and Germany builds in Kiel.
Yeah, that's just the right move, because you have options there too. If you wanted to try to do some kind of thing against Belgium and also fortify yourself back against Ruhr, you could do that. You could put if you want to, you still got that convoy option, so you're golden there, and there's no reason, to care about that. I would personally say I would probably do, if I'm going against Russia, I'm gonna probably do the convoy to Prussia. I think that's the better move set, because I think most people immediately assume Livonia is where you're going to do the convoy. And I think Prussia is going to be the one, and Munich to Silesia is what you want. I'm not sure that that's 100% the best move. You may want to just go into Gulf of Bothnia. I don't know, and support that in. That's hard to say. I'll have to think about it. But Kiel is definitely, to me, what you want. I'm guessing, and you have to do it, unless, I guess their thought was, maybe whatever you're doing, if you build Kiel, you can sell it to Russia so that they play a little more. They don't play as aggressively, because you don't want Warsaw to Silesia happening. Because if you can get Munich to Silesia and then get that army into Prussia, you've got Warsaw. It's yours. So I think Germany.
I think France and Russia will be working on Germany to turn on England and tell them, you can take Belgium, St. Petersburg can support Sweden into Norway. Should Germany take such an offer?
I don't think so.
Not yet. I
don't think anything great happens long term, because I don't think it's in Russia or France's interest to work with Germany, but it is in England, especially because it looks to me like he's the senior partner of this alliance. He's got no reason to change. I'm pretty sure what we're going to be seeing is that's it. He needed to move to North Atlantic. England's just, well, regardless, Italy's going to have some options by going down to Western Med. He's going to have some options to help England too. So there's still a lot of play to happen in 1903, depending on what Italy can pull off. Yeah, they're just not coordinating this well. You can take down France fast if you have somebody tactically that can put this together, and they've not got that. But I don't think Germany should take that offer. No, I do not.
Okay.
Especially
what do we see going on in what do we see going on in the West then, if Germany doesn't take that offer? More stalemating between England and France?
Well, you're
And
kind of,
what should we see happen?
I mean, you're kind of at that point. Um, I mean, you're a little bit at that point. Like you can make progress, but probably if you want to go all the way in on this, you need to support Burgundy to Picardy, and you need to um, drop Munich towards Burgundy, I guess, and move the other army down into Ruhr.
Or the convoy idea, same thing.
Yeah. Well, the problem with I mean, the convoy would work. You could do it that way. Yeah, that's another good way to do it. Um, you've got to put some more pressure on there. But yeah, I would not, if I'm Germany, make any kind of concession to France or Russia because it's a short term. Um, the thing is, once you burn your first ally, you, it, you have no goodwill with anyone on the board because other people see that too. Even though you're doing something that they may like and they're trying to convince you, they see that you turned on your ally. So they have no real loyalty to you either. And it's not that you can't burn your first ally, but once you do it, you're with everybody else. You're where everybody else is. And we have pretty much got to a point now on the board where EG is the only alliance that is really an alliance right now that are really trying to work together in any way. So,
All right. So France's
fun,
strategy seems simple. Hang on. But
yeah.
you implied that Italy may help England here. Do you think that's going to happen? That Italy may try and do something with France, or do you think Italy is going to pull back?
What I'm saying is, I think in the spring you obviously go Gulf of Leon to Western Med, and perhaps in the fall you've got some options on what to do. If I am pretty sure that what we're going to see is Smyrna to Constantinople, that army, and I will not be surprised if we find Ankara in the Black Sea. Or actually, the other option could be the fleet goes, well, no, you don't want that. I would not be surprised if Russia allows Turkey to go into the Black Sea because he's got two there anyway. And you've got to break down Austria, and Italy's not going to be able to do anything. Russia can't do anything. The only way they're going to be able to put pressure on Austria is if they all three work together. And I think we're going to see that happen. I think
You
Austria
think
will.
we're going to see all three happen? You don't think Turkey's going to move Smyrna to Armenia and trade off Armenian rum with Austria and go on Russia?
He just moved Armenia to Smyrna, and so he just moved that Armenia to Smyrna.
Well,
So,
yeah, there was an Italian fleet there.
Well, yeah. But he also was trusting Austria enough to, support Greece the Ionian. I don't know. I don't think so because Turkey's way to expand. If anybody offers Turkey Bulgaria, he's going to take it, right? Now perhaps I don't think he's going to do this, but perhaps he takes the convoy. I wonder if he's going to convoy that Austrian army over into Apulia. And the deal is I get Bulgaria and we get your army into Apulia. That'd be pretty devastating. Because Austria
I'm not convinced that Turkey is going to just suddenly join Italy and Russia right now. Turkey would be fine with Russia, with Austria pushing north and west.
Well, if Russia told me, I will let you into the Black Sea, you can take the Black Sea, move to Khan, and we will get you into Bulgaria because he can't stop that.
Well, they can take Romania in spring, and there's no Bulgaria to get.
Well, no, what I'm saying is if you've got something in the Aegean and an army in Khan and a fleet in Black Sea, and I was Turkey, and if I was offered that by Russia, I would take that. Now, Austria might say, okay, let's convoy my army into Apulia, and I will let you have Bulgaria, and we'll get you into Romania. And maybe that's the deal. If Austria is going to keep Turkey as an ally, which it seems like the decision that he's made because he can't take out Turkey now. If he's going to do that, he needs to make sure he is offering a lot. So if I was Austria in this situation, that's what I'd probably do. I'd probably say, convoy me to Apulia, and hey, you can have Naples and Tunis long term, and but let's get my army over there, and we'll get your army back into Bulgaria to take that. And that's probably what I would do if I was Austria in this situation. That's the offer that I would make. And then, of course, move into Tyrelia. Though if you're Germany, you may come down to help.
By doing that, though, if you have an enemy in Russia, you leave yourself very vulnerable by convoying the army in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
You can't take Romania. If you tried to take Romania, there'd be a bad retreat. Yeah. Would there be any chance that the convoy would come from Smyrna?
I mean, if I'm Austria and that's what Turkey wants to do, I'm good with that. No problem at all. You're just making it easier for me to get in there. Right. So definitely I would do that. If I was Turkey, I would say, no, let's put your army in there. You're the one making the attack. Why don't we put your army in there and I'll get to Bulgaria, and then we can do some more of that later.
Does Austria, okay, if they don't do that, maybe they hold in Italy, a hold on the Western Front, so to speak. Do you predict an Austrian move now against Russia?
If I was Austria, I probably wouldn't. I would focus on Italy and then figure out what's going to happen, because if Turkey betrays you on that turn and Russia stays true, then no. I would, if I was Austria and Germany's making a move, then yes, I would do that. If you've kind of got a central thing going on here where you say, hey, you know what, we both have a reason to work together, let's take Russia off the board. And if you're Austria, you're wanting to do that, you want to use those armies for some things, then yes, I would make that move for sure.
Russia not dead, but St. Petersburg is vulnerable in 03. Mm-hmm. Romania is vulnerable. Could lose St. Petersburg, Romania, and Sev. What should Russia do optimally, diplomatically, and tactically?
Yeah, 1902 was just, if anybody had a bad year, Russia is probably the worst out of everybody, even out of Italy, losing Trieste, because Italy still has a lot of options to do, but Russia has really no friends at this point, and nobody really has a big reason to want to work with Russia. Russia has no diplomatic, or I should say strategic power at all right now.
Which is a little sad, because Russia did nothing to anybody.
Well, and that's the problem. He allowed himself to be the behind the scenes, like, I'm going to take a back seat and watch things happen. That's not always a bad thing to do, but I'm not sure that's always the best thing to do with Russia. I'm not sure that that's always the best thing to do with that, but I could be wrong. But the problem here is he's allowed other people to kind of get rolling, and now the real failure to me was with Russia, Austria attacking Italy. Like, that's a real failure that you should not have allowed to happen, and because that really hurts his momentum and ability to grow. And I would be furious if I was Russia with what Austria did there. It's just not helpful. Now, if I'm Russia in this moment, I mean, my offer is to Turkey, I'll get you into Bulgaria, and let's just take Austria out. That's the best step forward.
We'll get an RT rolling late, yeah, but in time.
Right. Yeah. I would even live with letting him into the Black Sea, honestly, because he needs that kind of play. You need that kind of play to take Austria out, I am 100% sure that Austria did not tell Russia that he was about to work with Turkey against Italy. So in that moment, Russia's gotta talk with Turkey, and he's got to talk with Italy. And the idea needs to be, hey, we'll take Austria out and then just keep moving together. That's really what he's got to try to do. And the way to do it might be letting Turkey get into the Black Sea. I don't think that's a terrible decision. If I was Russia in this moment, I would probably let that happen. On the EG front, like I said, again, last year it was a really bad mistake not letting England get into Sweden. Maybe he offered it and England just didn't take it, but you really, really wanted that not to happen. I don't foresee. I mean, his goal's got to be getting Germany to switch over against England. I would be offering Germany, hey, I'll support you to Norway. What do you think about that? I'll put you into Norway and, maybe play it off as, I can't stand England anymore. Let me put you into Norway. Let's quit this big fight. I'll even put my fleet back into St. Petersburg afterwards. You move your fleet into Sweden too. Move it to Denmark. I don't care. Do what you want. But let's finish this up. What you got to do is you got to get England and Germany fighting. So it's really all diplomacy right now. That's Russia's 100% diplomacy to get people fighting each other. So then he can start sneaking back some centers.
Okay. So lastly, before we go and wrap up here today, you have to give me your impressions on Konk's, meaning Turkey's, continual breaking of the fourth wall and talking on Discord in the finalist commentary chat, sharing a Remembrance Day poem, kind of making fun of the AIR, making fun of Germany and England, calling Russia a coward in Warsaw. This is a bit unusual, do you not think?
It reminds me of another player who it's a combination of, hey, give me some attention, let me make you laugh, let me like you. I don't know. It's I worked.
I will say I messaged Konk and said, "This is not fair. The only thing I have, I may not be good anymore on the online rankings in Nexus, but all I have is best writer in Nexus history, and now he's trying to take that away from me."
Let's maybe make that a little clear. You are the most wordy writer. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's definitely
the most wordy. I'm the most entertaining.
You are. I would say you are the Charles Dickens of diplomacy AARs. You say you say what would take one sentence, you take 2 pages, and so it's. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's definitely the most prestigious. If you were getting paid, see, it shows that your background, because if you were getting paid by the word, you'd be rich with your AAR.
Well, so. Konk and I are both lawyers, but you know what Mark Twain said?
Yes.
He apologized in one of his bits of correspondence. He said, "I'm sorry. If I had more time, I would write a shorter letter."
Mm. That's what they say. If you're giving a speech, the question is, if you want me to give a 15-minute speech, it'll take me 5 hours. If you want me to give, on the same topic, a 30-minute speech, it'll take me 2 hours of prep, or something like that. Like the more time you put into something to be pithy and succinct, it takes more time to really boil things down. So I know this is kind of going every which way, but it's
is he trying to grab attention, or is there some subtle gameplay going on here?
Here's my well, let me make one more thing about this. You never wrote for the Halloween diplomacy stories, so just because of that, you can't claim I'm the best writer.
Well, I am. I'm the best writer.
you have to write for the actual fiction Halloween stories to be able to get there. So Village Idiot's pretty high on that list. His was really, really good that he put in there. So
He just runs computers. He can't write.
yeah, well,
It's all ones and zeros for him.
Yeah, you have to go back and look at it. It was pretty creative, I thought. He
Greg, Gary, Chris, whatever his name is, you ain't got.
Well, we'll leave it at that. So why is he doing it? Is there some secret motivation behind it? I don't know. I mean, here's the he doesn't produce a lot of stuff when he's not playing a game. So perhaps there's more to it. But I don't know. It's fun stuff, and he's obviously, I think some of it is he's just happy because he didn't lose another center and go down to 2. So with Italy and Syria. So I think he was probably excited about that and wanted to get his little song and dance in.
And before we go, I'll give a shout out, if you're listening, to Doc Bender, who, for his Remembrance Day poem, put in the first verse of Bruce Springsteen's Lost in the Flood. But again, Doc, you don't know me, but I am the Springsteen chronicler of Nexus finals games. Okay, Springsteen is my territory, not yours, buddy.
Well, you got to get back to the finals so that you can, regale us all with your great writing.
Well, that makes 2 of us, I guess. Okay, so thank you, Umble. Any final thoughts you want to make before we wrap up?
I enjoy this finals board. I like, there's definitely some creativity that is going on. So that always makes it fun when people make, daring moves. So I have to give that to Austria for making a daring move. It makes for a fun board. But yeah, I would say 1902. Maybe I think one of the things we usually do is we do like a ranking, right? Who had the best year?
We do. Okay, so who had the best 19? Let me get the map up, which seems to have temporarily gone away.
Now
I'll get it back up.
Old Sergey, he used to get upset with me when I would do this because I would give the best year to somebody who has had like 2 or 3 centers, and he'd be like, "How can you say someone has the best year if they only have 2 or 3?" And I go, "Well, we're evaluating it by the moves, whose goal turned out the best, And so yes, not getting killed is a great a great year if that's what you're looking at. I think objectively the best year had to be Turkey.
Objectively, A+.
Yeah, you have to say objectively A+. Sure, he lost Bulgaria, but he also split up the 3-way forces that were converging on him. He's given himself a lot more opportunities. So Turkey definitely had the best year, in my opinion. I would say secondly, I would say, France didn't lose any centers. He didn't even lose really any position. So you have to give him a lot of credit in that regard. So I should say this. I'm sorry. Germany would be number 2. Germany's got better position, more things to do. And probably some people could argue he's number 1, but I'll put him at number 2 because Turkey accomplished, from the position they were in, they accomplished more. So
Germany, letter grade for Turkey is what?
As far as for this last year,
yeah,
I would say A+. I'd say for Germany, A+. I mean, you got.
And for Germany,
yeah, you got a fleet in Sweden. I'm happy with where you're at. I mean, you're not going to be getting much of France anyway, so I think Germany had a very good year, awesome. And so that was Germany. Then I think France would be. I would say France would be next. This is my opinion, because France.
Holiday.
Yeah, he didn't get anything taken off him. So that's good. I suppose you could put Austria up there, but my personal belief is that this is not going to be a great long-term thing for Austria. I don't know. Okay, I'll put Austria 3rd. They had the 3rd best year. They've got a lot. They've got options. And here's the thing: if they can have a strong 1903, then they would jump up to A+. If they can pull this off without people ganging up on them. I am not convinced.
France 4.
Yeah, we'll put France 4. We'll put Italy at 5.
Italy at 5. You put them
Yeah.
ahead of Russia.
Well, wait. No, Russia's last.
Okay.
The problem is this, okay? I suppose, I guess England, I'm sorry, you have to give Italy an F because they didn't accomplish anything really of what they wanted. So that's a real diplomatic failure on their part, not being able to use, Russia to pressure Austria, not being willing to, I guess, paint forward a plan that would keep Austria on board. I'm not sure. But Italy definitely gets an F, but I think Italy has a lot more play right now than England does. So I would put Italy fourth, or I guess fifth, is where we have them. And then England would be next, just because England's not accomplishing a lot. It's just being used by everybody else. So I'm very unimpressed with England's play. 1902 was, as someone who loves to play England, 1902 was done wrong with both years or seasons. And then to me, Russia is definitely last because Russia accomplished nothing, gave themselves nothing, no options, nothing interesting. And I would put Russia last. As much as I hate to do it, it's just a terrible year for him.
Okay, if you had to parachute into this game as a substitute, which power would you want to be?
Probably Germany. I think Germany's got the most long-term options, and plus, everybody kind of wants him to work with them, right? So if I had to be dropped in, I'd probably be Germany. Um, Unless if Turkey sticks with Austria, then yes, you'd want to be Austria. I'd probably say Austria second, and probably
Come on, give it to the people's choice.
I you know it all comes down to really diplomatically how well Turkey can do here. But yeah, I mean, I would probably say Turkey third, and maybe Italy fourth even. I'm still kind of bullish on Italy's chances if they can get the coalition against Austria, because I think Italy's got some decent options on that front if they can. If they
I'll
can,
give my 2 cents. Why I like your Russia Turkey getting it together plan is very simple. Austria cannot build fleets to hurt Turkey now,
right?
and Turkey can. There's no downside to Turkey turning on Russia at this point. I mean, on Austria. None.
We has to. I mean, you're in Bulgaria, so if I'm Austria, I'm telling Turkey, look, I want you to have Bulgaria. I want you to have it. It's all yours. I want you to have it. And maybe the thought process is, maybe the thought process is if he's willing. I mean, my first goal would be to put that army into Apulia personally, but I'd be saying, look, Bulgaria is yours. I want you to know this. Bulgaria, you will be able to walk into Bulgaria next turn. That's what you got to sell it as, because Turkey wants Bulgaria, like they want it. So
I mean, theoretically, Turkey moving Ankh-to-Black, Smyrna to Khan, and even Aegean convoying Bulgaria is both what Russia and Austria would want. So it wouldn't
yeah,
look like any stab in spring.
yeah, that's exactly right. If I was Russia, and I'd offer that too. If I was Russia, and I mean, it's a pretty safe bet here to say, look, Turkey, if you continue to attack me, Austria is going to win this game. We have to limit him down, and I would be okay with letting Turkey into the Black Sea. You got to do something. I mean, Russia's not going to get anything from Turkey, and you got to do something. So if I'm Russia, I'm letting Turkey in the Black Sea. That's
Last
my
question. Last question. Who will win the season 5 Nexus finals?
Who's going to win?
Who's going to win?
Uh, I mean, I like Germany right now. I really like Germany. The issue, of course, here is that they really needed Italy to help take out France fast. So, No, he might stick an army down there in Tyrolia and then come around to Piedmont at some point. I don't know, but I think Germany's got in the hands of a really good player. A person would love to be Germany just because there's so many options. That if you can work your will, you're gonna come out of this really strong. You can really move the puppets if you're in Germany at this moment. It's a great position to be in.
All right. Umble, thank you. Thanks to diplomacybriefing.com. We appreciate your thoughts. And everybody learns a lot when you're on, especially how much you can talk. But short of that, thanks for the analysis. And the players and everyone else can listen to the competing analyses of the fall 1902 moves. So please enjoy. And we do this for fun. And Umble, thank you again. And thanks to diplomacybriefing.com.
Okay.